Welcome to part 5 of my Ableton tutorial series. My name is Isaac Gravel and my website is seattleaudiophile.com. You can find all of these tutorials on my website in order at seattleaudiophile.com. This one's going to cover using your own samples in Impulse and making drum beats with sounds that you've recorded yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Impulse. I covered how to use Impulse in the last tutorial, so I'm just going to click and drag Impulse over here. Do a little drop down. So now Impulse is added to my my MIDI track, and I'm going to grab my own audio, cut out a little piece to use as a sample for my drum set down here in Impulse. So I have my own sample set aside in this one specific spot on my computer, and so I'm going to use my my live browser to grab that sample. So I'm going into my loops, and I've got something called cow groove, and it's just going to keep looping until I tell it not to. But I'm just going to click and drag it up here into my audio section so I can work with it. When I hit spacebar, it just plays and keeps going. So, for instance, let's say I really like this hit right here, that snare hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take that and put it into Impulse, which is very, very simple. Well, for starters, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I'm clicking up above and I'm dragging down. And now I'm going to click ahead here and select the hit. And all I need to do now is make sure that Impulse is selected so it appears down here at the bottom of the screen. And I come up to the thing that I just selected, click up above, and drag it down into any of these boxes. And now this one, remember in the last tutorial I covered, these are all keys on your keyboard or middle C. This one represents A on my keyboard, and you'll see it's just playing that little clip that I cut out. And if I want to grab anything else to add to this drum set from this loop, I'm going to zoom out a little bit more, find something I like. I like this little sizzle here. I'm going to zoom in again. I'm going to grab it at the beginning. And you'll notice it's not quite lined up with the grid right here. For this one, I'm actually going to turn the grid off so that I can select exactly what I want. And I right-clicked, went Fix Grid Off. So now I can select anywhere in the middle of the grid. It should still work the same way. So I've got my hit, that's my hit right there. I'm going to click on Impulse so that it appears down here at the bottom. Grab the part that I selected, and it'll be S on my keyboard. There. And so I'm adding samples, and now I can use these little clips that I've pre-recorded, or little chunks of this pre-made loop, rather, for my own drum set. Another thing that I wanted to cover that I didn't cover in the last couple of tutorials is a little bit more about the interface. Down here where you see Impulse, this is also where you would drag audio effects, and you got to kind of think of this as a signal chain. If, for instance, I wanted to add an EQ to a sound, this is where I would drag it. To switch from this to the clip view, or in this case the sample view, there's a little slot down here, or a little tab down here, that allows you to switch between your signal chain and your sample view. If I am editing the clip that I'm going to be using for my drum beat, go back to Session or Mixer View, double click that clip, and now this will be clip view. If I go back here, I can see my signal chain, clip view. And this is all of my Impulse stuff right here, just like in the last tutorial. So I'm going to show you a little bit about adding some audio effects to your tracks. So I prefer to use Chip just because it loads really easy, and I like 8-bit Nintendo sound. So I'm going to click and drag Chip in here. So now it's loaded up. I've got a new track here of Chip, and it sounds like this right now. And I can dink around with Chip itself and make it sound different. But for now, I want to use one of Ableton's audio effects to change the character of this sound. So I'm going to go into, not instruments. Remember, there's instruments, MIDI, and audio effects. I'm just going to EQ it a little bit. So if I want to add EQ, I just click and drag it down here into the audio effects. And now the signal for Chip is going to play out of the instrument, through the EQ, and then into the rest of the mixer. So if I want to, for instance, cut the highs, I'll just say select option number 4, do a shelf filter, bring this down, and we'll make it a little bit more intense there by I'm clicking and dragging up. So now when I play with Chip, it sounds a little bit more muffled. If I bring this up, it sounds really annoying. So I'm just going to, if I want to listen to just the raw sound, up here is the bypass button or device activator. I just think of it as a bypass button. So when it's off, I'm just getting Chip signal on its own. And if I wanted to go in and alter some of Chip's clips, I can just double click on a clip and it'll show up down here in the clip view. And whatever I play will show up down there, and I can remember using the last tutorial you can see how to map out some MIDI stuff. So that pretty much concludes this. Oh no, there's one other thing that I wanted to cover. The metronome can be very helpful in making some of your beats. So I'm going to come up here. This is the metronome. This is the metronome activate button. This is your time signature. This is to nudge the tempo up or down, and this is what the tempo is set at. And I'm just going to move this up to 120 there, just like every other song on the radio. And then this tap one is to set a tempo just by tapping on your mouse, and I don't think it works very well, but click, 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 click. I don't know why you're playing right now. You shouldn't be playing, but I'm just going to keep this at 120. So now when I play, let's say I want to play Chip. I want to play a melody on Chip that's at 120 beats per minute. So I have 120 beats set here. I'm just going to activate the metronome, hit play. It's playing what was on the arrangement up there. That was that loop that I used before. You can easily disable that. Actually, I'll show you how to disable that right now. You can just, whoops, wrong one. Disable that channel. And now when I hit play again, it won't play the, it won't play that sample over what I'm trying to work, wherever I'm trying to work. So now I've got this clip activated. You can see that the bar is moving down here in clip view. And now I can try to, using the tempo, make my own melody. And if I deactivate it, no more beeping. And if I just go in here, just a little review here, right? Control A or Apple A and Apple U. Everything's quantized. It's more effective for if you're making a drum beat. I prefer to just use the metronome while I'm making my drum beat, or if I'm playing with live instruments like my drum set, then I'll have my metronome playing. It's a pretty handy tool for practice. And then once I have my backbeats set with the metronome, then I'll go in and add my melodies, making sure that the tempo is still the same. Although you can speed up and slow down, it'll affect everything on here, all of your clips. So depending on how fast you want people to dance to your music, you can just quickly and easily adjust it right here. So that is a little bit more about clip view, a little bit more about MIDI and how Impulse works, and using some samples. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks.